Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras, here with ILTV's morning briefing.
Prime Minister Netanyahu is currently on his way to Europe right now, where he will hold a series of meetings with top leaders from the European Union. The Prime Minister will be lobbying hard to push European leaders away from the nuclear deal with Iran. And while most believe Europe will likely stick to the deal no matter what, some still wonder if Netanyahu can sway Europeans on a few crucial details. Israel cheered United States President Donald Trump's decision last month to withdraw America from the JCPOA nuclear deal. That deal, originally established in 2015, lifted fierce economic sanctions on the regime in exchange for Iran deaccelerating its nuclear program. Israel, however, has contended that Iran still remains committed to developing weapons of mass destruction. Despite these claims, nuclear watchdogs have consistently cleared Iran for obeying the terms of the deal. In the wake of Trump's withdrawal, Iranian leaders have given Europe, Russia, and China an ultimatum: stay in the deal or we'll continue our nuclear program tomorrow. Netanyahu will now meet with German Chancellor Angela Merkel, then with French President Macron, in an attempt to convince them to walk away from the deal. The rest of the deal's signatories, however, say they remain committed to the JCPOA, if only because there's no plan B to fall back on. Those countries will likely keep a dialogue open with Iran in an effort to save the deal. At best, Netanyahu may only win concessions when it comes to the deal's points on long-range missiles and its sunset provision clauses. At least 25 in Guatemala are dead following the deadly eruption of the Volcán de Fuego volcano yesterday. The toxic ash, smoke, and molten rock have consumed much of the rural countryside, leaving a tragic path of devastation. Israel's foreign ministry has immediately responded to this tragedy. The government will now be sending some $10,000 worth of aid to those affected by the disaster. And at this time, there's still no final word on whether or not Israel will send rescue workers as well to help with the efforts on the ground. But Israeli organizations like IsraAID have often been first responders to crises like these all over the world. For now, though, the Foreign Ministry's aid package will consist of much-needed medicine, food, and blankets. The lethal explosion of the Fuego volcano has destroyed homes, roads, and much of the surrounding area's infrastructure. Many more are feared injured or dead beyond the initial estimate of 25. If this crisis escalates, we may soon see Israeli boots on the ground lending a helping hand. More and more arson-related terror attacks are emanating from the Gaza Strip every day. Late Sunday evening, Palestinian terrorists from the Strip infiltrated into southern Israel and set a container of IDF construction equipment on fire. The equipment was meant for construction of the anti-tunnel barrier underground around Gaza. A similar attack was reported at an unmanned IDF outpost last week. Thankfully, no injuries were reported in either incident, and the IDF responded as usual against Hamas military positions. But the worst fires have come from flaming kites, simply flown over the border and allowed to fall. Just last night, at least 5 such kites struck Israel from Gaza. Over the past 6 weeks, hundreds of kites have destroyed tens of thousands of acres of agricultural fields and nature reserves. In light of the attacks, southern Israeli farmers from the area have announced their intentions to sue Hamas for war crimes at the International Criminal Court at The Hague. But in the meantime, to compensate Israeli farmers for their damages and losses, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has ordered the National Security Council and the Tax Authority to estimate what was lost and withhold that amount from payments to the Palestinian Authority. So far, estimates are at roughly $1.4 million. Critics, however, argue that penalizing the PA for Hamas's actions would probably have the opposite than intended effect, especially as the Palestinian Authority hasn't been in control of Gaza since it was overthrown by Hamas in 2007. Israeli police's Lahav 433 anti-fraud unit has today arrested a city mayor in the Sharon Regional Council, along with at least 3 other elected officials and several of their employees. The unnamed suspects were arrested on suspicion of bribery, corruption, and tax-related offenses, and both their homes and offices were raided. 2 suspects have since been released after questioning, but at least 2 others are currently scheduled to appear before the Rishon LeZion Magistrates Court for a remand hearing. Unfortunately, this is far from an isolated incident. Putting aside the multiple investigations involving Prime Minister Netanyahu, there have been at least 5 similar raids in the last 6 months. Former coalition whip and Knesset member David Bitan is under an ongoing investigation for corruption during his time as deputy mayor of Rishon LeZion. Then in March, Jerusalem Deputy Mayor Meir Turgeman and 5 others were arrested for fraud, bribery, abuse of power, and more. A month later, 7 more were questioned and 9 arrested by the Lahav 433 for corruption in the Hevel Modi'in Regional Council. Senior Beit Shemesh officials were then arrested for similar charges in May, and now Nazareth Mayor Ali Salam is under investigation for theft, accepting illegal gifts, fraud, and more. RAFAEL Defense Systems has just announced the completion of their new Sharp Flame guidance kits. The kit can be integrated into any existing missile or rocket warhead, and the Electro-Optical Precision Integration Kit, aka EPIC in English, can improve the accuracy of a missile with a 3-meter margin of error from targets at ranges of 100 kilometers. The IDF hasn't announced yet whether it plans to buy the Sharp Flame system, as it's called in Hebrew, but it is thought likely. Not only can RAFAEL's guidance kit improve aim, it tremendously lowers cost. Instead of manufacturing a precision-guided rocket, which can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, a simple rocket with the EPIC kit costs just around $2,000. Further, the kit uses image scanning technology combined with laser guidance, similar to systems in a fighter aircraft, not GPS, so it's harder to hack or jam or otherwise divert the missile off course, even if the missile's GPS system is corrupted. And as if that wasn't enough, it also allows for the projectile to reach its targets faster. The EPIC kit can direct a missile traveling at Mach 2 and still hit even a moving target.
That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.